Doing pretty good, Dave. How's it going? Had a little outpatient surgery here on my cheek here.
Yeah.
Got a little biopsy going on. So if I favor this side, just want you to know, I don't do good with surgeries and stuff. I'm not great about that stuff.
No, it's gosh, anything. I mean, because we're so undereducated in what we know about it, So it's like it's just scary going through all this dental stuff too. I'm like, what?
You
So,
just got to trust. Just got to
oh,
trust people know what they're doing.
yeah, I got a great dentist and Dr. A up in Sherwood, New Smile. So shout out to him. Little plug promo for free for those guys. But they've been awesome. But implants on the dental stuff it's intense. It's been going on since January 9th. But it goes on well before that. But yeah, no, I'm sorry what you're going through. I mean, the real story, everybody, is Rob, boxes, semi-pro and just got tatered in that right hook from him and got him. So,
Well, I'm doing MMA. I'm not doing boxing. Boxing so 1990s, man. MMA, buddy.
yeah, tell that to Joe Frazier.
Stop in the
This
Joe
is
Frazier. Joe
some great
Frazier was probably my favorite boxer. Ali was good, but Frazier was pretty darn good, man.
Frazier's tough.
Holmes, Larry Holmes, George
Volleyball,
Foreman. Good.
back and forth on some top-notch boxers through the day. So, you got Frazier, Lee, those two. Let's go, Sugar Ray Leonard.
I was just getting ready to say, I couldn't even before I was getting ready. Sugar Ray Leonard, of course, that guy was tremendous.
Yeah, Joe Louis.
Joe Louis, yeah, he was a little bit before my time. I didn't really know much
Yeah,
about him. I heard he was a pretty heavy swinger.
Way old school. Max Schmeling, the German who came in. I think him and Joe Louis had the big fight for the world title way back, 30s, I think. Gosh, I think boxing. I like boxing. We boxed as kids. My dad bought us 12-ounce gloves, and so it turned into maybe around 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. We had a piece of grass out in the front yard with a sidewalk, a gravel driveway, the front sidewalk, and then a little brick walkway from the driveway to the house. So it was about a little bigger than a boxing arena probably. And so our rule was you and me go at it with gloves on, and you just went until somebody walked out of the ring and lost. And then the guy who was still in there won. And that was our rule. It was pretty simple. And I learned real quick that getting hit in the nose is a bad thing. So I'd always wait for my chance. And you could really see how tough somebody was. So I had a guy named Norvin. He's passed away now. He's an old friend. And he's like 6'3". We're about 17. He's a big guy. And Norvin was pretty mellow until he got mad. And then all heck was going to break loose. So he came after me, threw a whole bunch of punches. And so I was like, oh, man. And, I mean, I was like, this guy is swinging hard. And so I just waited for my time, did a little right combo on his nose. And he started crying. I mean, I got pretty good enough where he went down to one knee and he was bleeding a little bit, but he started crying. It hurt really bad. And he goes, I ain't never boxing again. He walked home or drove. I don't know if he got home, but he went home.
You forced him into retirement, Dave.
If you can get hit in the nose and take a punch, you're pretty tough. That's why boxing's tough because, it's like wrestling. I give wrestlers, even though I'm a hooper, wrestling, those kids go out, for their rounds. And they got 3 rounds. And, they're throwing a forearm right across your face and your nose, and they're rubbing it hard. And it's like getting a noogie. And, oh, man, there's that.
There are some very dirty tactics that go along with wrestling that are just disgusting.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I'll tell you what, they do some things that are just crazy.
Oh, yeah. It's you got to have some huevos to wrestle. You got to be tough. It's I think, people, the other day I heard a guy on Instagram, and he said his point was, and I'm a tennis guy for 50 years as a USGA coach, 24 at the high school level, hundreds and hundreds of camps, thousands of kids I've coached. And I liked what he said at first. He said tennis is the most very difficult sport for the pros to play because of it's one-on-one, longevity of the match. You're just out there forever doing everything on your own. You're putting in a ton of effort. And with that, I agree. But I came back and I thought about it for a second. I said, every sport's got its difficulties. Every single sport. I don't care what it is. And so even though I'm a tennis, basketball kind of guy, I like football. I said, you know what about that quarterback who gets, because he was saying a quarterback can get hit, 5 seconds, and boom. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't understand. If that's Ray Lewis hitting him, and he lands in the eastern shores of Canada after that hit, and he gets hit once or twice in a game like that, most humans would die or be in a
Yeah.
wheelchair. And so, my point is I think every single sport brings the difficulties that we can really appreciate, and we all have our favorite sports.
Yep.
We all do. I think the
That's right.
hardest I've ever seen kids play, Rob, was I have an 0-1 record as a varsity soccer coach because I filled in for the C.S. Lewis boys varsity. His best friend's brother died in Singapore, and he said, "Dave, you got to coach. All the kids want you to coach." Because I was the head basketball coach there, and I said, "I don't know anything about soccer," and I didn't. And so I got there with the kids, no practices, nothing, just right into a game situation. So he said the kids will kind of manage it. Well, they weren't that good at that, so I just told him, I said, if you play hard, I'll play you. And we're playing a fourth-ranked team in the state, Faith Bible, out of Beaverton. And I told him, I said, look, if you don't play hard for me, you don't play. I don't care who your parents are, what kind of check they write, or if mommy drives a Mercedes, you will be subbed out. And so I got this kid from Sweden, I think it was, and he was exchange student, pretty talented kid, but he nodded like he got it. He gets out there and he's just walking around. He'd play hard if he's near the ball for 20 seconds. So I subbed him out. Well, I didn't realize in soccer, you're not supposed to sub out like basketball, just willy-nilly. It's kind of long runs out there. And the guys that were coaching happened to be fantastic referees, officials, and they were all Hispanic. They were very knowledgeable about soccer. And they told me a few things I didn't know. It was a great learning experience. Those three guys helped me really come to understand what people who really know a sport know. But I said, well, if they don't play hard, I'm taking them out. And they go, okay. And so I subbed several times first half, but I put this kid in and out 3 times. And I said, look, I don't care if you're an exchange student and you're a nice guy. That's not the point. You need to play harder. So the third time I pulled him out, halftime, we have our talk. And I just said, dude, here's the deal. I'm going to start you in the second half. And I'll know within 30 seconds if you're going to play or not play. And I go, what part of Sweden talk do I have to get you to understand that when I say go, I means go, go, go? Well, he got it. And he played really well in the second half. He came off, and the other kids ccame off. We tied this team 0-0. So I'm 0-1. And the kids played so hard. Our goalie had like 12 of the greatest saves you've ever seen. And we were on defense most of the time because his team had more talent. But you know what, Rob? I watched those kids walk off the field that day. And my whole appreciation from soccer went from fairly low to really high. Even though I never played, coached one game, those kids were dripping, not just sweaty. I mean, they were soaked. I've never seen kids, and it wasn't that hot a day. It was probably 62, 63. And they were just absolutely, they got over the sideline, and I just said, flop. Don't even get on one knee. Just flop, put your head on your forearm. And they did. And I took them out, and we went and got ice cream or hamburgers or something. And I bought. I said, I'm impressed, and it takes a lot to impress me in athletics.
Well, I think they run like 10 miles during a game or something incredible.
Oh,
The amount of running they do, it adds up to.
yeah.
When I used to play soccer, I was on the defensive side of the ball. But yeah, it's a great sport, and it kind of is a great segue. I mean, World Cup's coming up. I know you're not really big on the World Cup stage necessarily, but I'll tell you what, it's a pretty huge event. It's going to definitely put America on the center stage. Any thoughts on that before we get into some of the other subjects, Dave?
I'm more of a soccer fan than I've ever been. And I think when you're older, we just didn't get to play, man. We did not get to play soccer, and our head wrestling coach at the time would pull out a soccer ball during advanced PE, and he wasn't enthused about it because he never played or coached it much. And so we would just play 2 more weeks of football. And so that's a disservice when, like we talk about education in today's world, you need to show kids what's up. Like to this day, I like to dance, and it's because we had 2 weeks of ballroom dancing in that PE class. It was advanced. You had to be a jock. You had to be an athletic. So everybody in our class was athletic, which is really cool. You didn't have any noobs out there who couldn't do stuff. And nowadays they can't do that because that would hurt somebody's feelings, which they have their feelings hurt a lot more. But the thing about it we just didn't play, man. Rob, I wish I could have played like you. And my oldest son tried it at 6, hated it. Coach was a pretty tough guy. He just didn't make it fun at all. And Paul quit. Josh said, I'll never play. Then my third son picked up soccer, though. And he got really, 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 really good until he switched to football his junior year, peer pressure from fellow classmates and stuff. But so I saw a lot of travel soccer. Tyler played a lot of goalie, and it was fun. It was really, I learned a lot. My favorite soccer, real quick, was Tyler would get picked up by these teams from Mexico. And Tyler's white as snow. He's red freckled, red hair, spiked, he had the gel in the hair and everything. And everybody loved Tyler. Tyler's just a great kid. Treated everybody.
Good. Hey, I like Tyler. He's a good guy.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, I enjoy him.
He'd go out there and play goalie for these guys. And there's nobody there except just a few, spouses or stuff who were white. It was Hispanic people. All that's what it was. And most of the time they're speaking Spanish. I don't know a word they're saying except "Cómo está?" Buenos dias. I got that. And after that, I'm swimming. And so I would run up and down trying to figure out what these dads and brothers were telling their kids. And I'd go up to them and say, "What did you just say to him?" And so that's how I learned soccer. They'd say, "Well, you need to do this and this and this," and then they were right back on it. It was awesome because they didn't need 5 minutes to tell me. They would be 5 seconds, and I go, "Oh, that makes sense." And so that was the best education I ever got quickly into a sport because those guys, that's a huge sport all over the world.
Yeah.
The United States has been playing catch up for decades and decades.
Yeah.
World Cup, super excited about it.
Yeah, I had the unique experience in 1990 of living in Germany. And I was in the service, lived in Germany, and that's when Germany won the World Cup. And I forgot where it was located at, but boy, it was an experience. Everybody in that country was just in a party mode for like 3 or 4 days. It was crazy. It was unlike anything I've ever seen.
I think that that kind of segues into what we talk about all the time is like, just don't judge. Don't critique unless you really know what's up. And I critique soccer for years with my friends. We didn't know what we were talking about. I think that goes back into politics. It goes into the woke movement, the conservative movement, the whole thing with people. We just got to quit judging because we don't really know. You and I know each other pretty good, but we still have a long road to go to figure each other out too.
Sure. Name another sport that has as much diversity as soccer. I mean, well, you could get someone from Nigeria, someone from Sweden, someone from, Mexico, someone from, Guatemala, not to mention Europe, France, England. I mean, it's definitely, it's a great sport that brings so many nationalities together in one field. I think maybe more so than any other sport. I can't really think of another sport that has as many cultures that are involved in it. So
one second, I think soccer.
Tennis probably. Yeah.
Tennis. It's all over the world. There's a lot of tennis in Africa people don't know about. But when Judy was in Uganda for a medical missions trip years ago, those kids are playing in bare feet. They don't have socks. They don't have soccer shoes. They're out there just playing away. And it's an incredibly inexpensive sport. And if you look at like tennis and say soccer, gosh, 90% of the kids out there, they're not playing on turf fields or beautiful, pristine blue tennis courts. They're playing on dirt or old beater grass. Yeah. And that's the thing I appreciate about those things. Like basketball for me, I got really good. I was on a gravel driveway for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours every day, Rob. And the only reason I could shoot so good was because I practiced and I didn't have any money. So if I had free time, that's where I was at. And it was a gravel driveway with a wood bat.
Yeah. I was like that with baseball. We used to go out. We had a field across the street and would hit them and hit flies and grounders and all kinds of stuff. You ever play Indian ball?
What's that?
It's basically, it's a game you can play with your, about 3 or 4 friends. You got a guy who throws up the ball, hits it. If you catch it on a fly, automatically, get changed out. There's all kinds of different variations of it, but we used to play that quite a bit. You have to get like three grounders, or you catch one fly, you get the bat. So it's kind of cool. You kind of rotated through and stuff. So I know Indian ball's a little bit different. That's a game called three grounders and a fly. But we used to play that all the time. And then hot box, where you would, have two guys on the bases and someone running. We used to do that all the time.
Yeah, we do the hot box, and then all of a sudden somebody get mad, somebody just peg them, and then it would be a fight.
Yeah.
Sorry, neighborhood, you had a fight. I mean, we never got to the point where it was like fight to the death. It was just good old fashioned fight, throwing punches and wrestling and headlocks. Yeah, hot box was you get intense, So
Yeah.
I
Anyway.
saw a play. I was on ESPN 2 days ago. Catcher comes up throwing, right? Guy's stealing second. Looks like he's got it all the way. He slides, perfect play. The ball literally, like, if this is the bag right here. I'm trying to get my camera right here. And this is the catcher back here coming in. And he throws the ball to the corner of that bag, 2 inches off the ground. The guy just puts his mitt there, the shortstop. And I mean, within an inch, ball hits, guy's out. And he just looks up and goes. He says it too, and they verbalize it up. He goes, "Man, what a fantastic throw!" That's what the guy that got thrown out said.
Yeah.
Just a perfect throw. Johnny Bench, Yogi Berra, nobody could have thrown it better than that. Like, I can't remember who the catcher was, but it was big leagues.
Yeah.
For sure. So,
well, Dave, what do we got on the agenda? I know it's political season. That's starting to really heat up. Got a lot of news. The other day I was driving down the road, heard my first commercial on the radio for Ed Deal.
yeah.
I know he's a good friend of yours, someone that we've had a relationship with. What are you thinking on the governor's race? And then here locally, I know we were talking earlier about the old tax levy and how we need to save public education for Newburgh and make sure those 25-year teachers get their big bonuses and get raised, while the first-year teachers get screwed.
Yeah, the truth in fantasy, what that Paige and I talked about this other day of
That's producer Paige. She does they do a podcast as well on the Stand Tall with Dave Brown with Paige. So yeah, she's back
Paige,
in the.
I get Paige a bunch of rapid fire words like we did that one night, and, or morning, and she liked that game. And I said, if you want to make a comment, and so it went a little slower than I thought. She made lots of comments here and there, but we were talking about that the media, just general. And I said, the problem with the media right now, every which way but loose. It's not just Republican, Democrat, or whatever. It's that people have lost their trust in the media, and some people still watch it, but we just don't know what's being told us is true. And I think the whole country is like, I've been taking a big step back from the media, just trying to kind of clear my brain a little bit. And instead of watching what's going on in Iran or the protests here in the country, just kind of taking a step back a little bit, because I don't like being lied to. And we all have our feelings. Some people feel like Trump's lying. Other people feel like, CNN's lying. So I think for me, it's more like we've got a lot of media issues, because there's so many different kinds of media now, Rob. It's not just CBS with Walter Cronkite. We've got all kinds of stuff coming at us, including podcasts and what you believe. And so last night we had a Newburgh Dundee Strong meeting, and we talked about, when you're out talking to people, we've said this 100 times, you and me and Paige and me. People have a kindergarten education of politics because they just don't care enough to. And my point I wanted to say today was, you have to care enough to put a little work into something. And you can't just let other people carry your water all the time. You've got to put some effort out. And it's like reading a book. People go, well, I don't like to read. Well, okay. But we all need to read more. Reading is really healthy. Turning off this whole computer TV thing and the phone. But man, if you're that bad, you just say you can't read, I think it's an excuse, but you could also get that book on tape. So if you're driving for a half hour, to work or something like that, listen to a book on tape. We did it going to California with John Grisham. It was a really good book. And Judy really liked that. She'd only done it once before in her life, and it was fun. We We had it on, and we got through about half the book coming home. It was really cool.
Yeah, I haven't really been big on the audio books. Like I said, this hasn't been my thing.
Depends on the narrator. If the narrator's got a really cool, Rick Riley, Clackamas County Chair here in Oregon,
Mm,
if they got a buttery voice, it's pretty cool. This person was just okay,
yeah,
but people have make a living doing that. They're reading the book,
yeah,
literally, and so it's not a bad way to go. But I think the media one we got pretty fired up on. Paige got pretty fired up too because, I just don't like sitting down and you could condense it all down to like
yeah.
20 minutes in an evening, not watching hour after hour after hour of it.
Yep. Well, sorry, got a
Oh,
little,
good.
got a little
Hey,
noise
that's
from my
not
dog
Lucy.
coming up here. My
Not
dog is
Lucy.
not.
Lucy's just laid out. Oh, Lucy's in the front library. She's listening to your dogs there. No, we talked a lot about that, and we talked a lot about the levy, and she asked me what I thought. Paige is very firm on the fact that we need to use all of our taxpayer dollars a lot more wisely. And I said, yeah, I go, um, we've had a lot of people we know in education. Of course, they say we're doing this for the kids. And that's such an easy cop out to say it that way. Of course, kids are impacted by what we do as adults. But right now, this is not the answer. Our taxes will go up now. We're pegged at maybe close to $700 a year on our taxes, maybe 800, Rob. And we really can't afford that. That's just another 800 on top of everything else. And
Yeah.
they're saying it's going to, create all this revenue over the next 5 or 6 years, $6 million. And the problem with that whole thing is, education is ranked 49th or 50th in the United States and Oregon. Some of you states are doing a better job than we are. We're not doing a good job in public education. And what everybody's failing in public education to realize is that we have to make a better product. Simple as that.
Well, Dave, let me ask you this question because you were involved with the school board, obviously locally. How did we get to this point? Because it wasn't really a problem before. How do we get to this point where we're successive years having $5 and $6 million shortfalls? Like, how does that happen?
Student enrollment pushes the machine of money in the government public schools. Student enrollment. Every student's worth somewhere between $11,000 and $15,000. If they're special needs, more. And when you go to the last, it's been going on a lot longer than 5, 6 years. It's been going on a long time where the erosion of public school, they've made it more about how the teachers unions want everything to roll. The NEA, the National Education Association, has over $450 million in their checking account. Why? I never got anything in 20 years. Nothing. I got a little bit of candy one time. I got a pencil or a pen or something and a pad and paper.
Do you get a tote bag? They used to give out little tote bags.
No, no. It's like, what's the point of all that? Who's coming out ahead on all that? And politics gets really slimy on both sides of the aisle, and people are flying back to D.C. Whether it's Biden or Trump or Obama, it doesn't matter. There's all kinds of grifting going on. The union, the teachers union, and I'm not anti-union. The teachers union, though, is grifting all over the public school sector. And they put a ton of pressure out there. So the leaders of all your local unions, including Newburgh Dundee, they put the pressure out there. And I'm telling you, when you're inside a school, you get guilt tripped to heck.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that. So you say they put pressure on you. Talk about their tactics. Like, let's say I'm brand new to teaching. I came in from the industry.
Yep.
20 years in industry, just brand new to teaching. I don't know anything about the culture of teaching, but I know I'm very good at what I do. What's some of the tactics they get to strong arm me to, go their way?
Well, you come in. We would have a hard time as an older white male getting hired today, because DEI and diversity and all this equity stuff is, those words don't mean what they used to mean. And so right off the bat, we'd have a hard time even getting to the final interview. And that sounds terrible to say, but it's the truth. Then if you get hired, the first thing they're going to do to you, what they did to me, is they're going to say you got all this paperwork to fill out. So there's 5 or 6 or 7 sheets you're filling out. Like you would do at most employment, you have to fill out the tax form and the insurance form. In there, though, they also have the union form right there, and they put it on like page 4. So you just kind of like sign. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do this. Well, that's what we do. I said, well, yeah, but I don't want to do that. Well, this is how it works. I said,
Mm,
yeah, but I don't want to be part of the union. Well, this is just what we do, you know. And I'm like, well, yeah, but I don't want to do that. And they said, well, let's just get it done now, and then you can tell us, down the road that you don't want to do this. You can always opt out, or you don't have to. But we need to get this thing done because we got stuff to place to go. We got to get
mm,
you kid. We got blah blah blah. And so the pressures. I remember the lady Paula. She just put the pressure on me quick, and so I went fine. So I signed it really quick, and then you get busy in life and coaching. You're working 15
yeah.
hours a day. You're working all summer to make money to help pay for what you didn't make during the school year. And then you're sitting there at year 19, and I look down, I'm like, what am I doing? I'm giving, like $85 a month to the teachers unions or whatever it was. And you're like, holy smokes. Every month they take this money out, right? And so I went in and I said, I want to opt out. I hadn't quite decided I was going to retire yet. Well, why? And then they made me feel really bad. And I just said, where's the paper? I'm signing it and I'm out. I don't want this in my next paycheck. I think it was like November. So I
Mm,
opted out. Judy did the same thing. And the thing about that was between the two of us, it was about $2,000 a year,
well,
a whole year. And
mm.
that goes on year after year after year after year. You don't get
You're
anything.
thinking that it's a staff of 50, 60 people, right?
Newburgh has
Average
staff 500
staff? Oh,
staff.
Newburgh, the entire district, yeah, the district, okay, exactly, yeah, 500 people.
Yeah. So you're talking, there's teachers, there's ed assistants, your there's your administrators who have kind of a different thing than the teachers union. But I'll tell you what, it's a lot of money, Rob. That's
Yeah,
why when you look at what's going on there, people, the Freedom Foundation, we got to be a big part of that because when Judy was working in the school, she was like one of her school rep for the union. And then when she didn't take the vaccine, COVID hit, nobody like Dave Brown, me, because I'm on the school board and I say no to anti-racism, they came after Judy super hard.
mm,
And union was nowhere to be found for her. As a matter of fact, they led the charge and they came after her. And so these young teachers that come out of college now and they want a job. And education used to be a very, noble job.
mm,
And yet now, they're getting taught at U of O or wherever they're going, Willamette or Linfield or even George Fox. What are
mm.
they getting taught to be a good educator? Let's just say they go to George Fox and get a pretty good education. Let's just say they do. As soon as they get to that public school, though, they're coming after them. This is the way we do it. I've seen classrooms with rainbow flags from one end to the other everywhere except the floor in a classroom. When they said, we're not going to do that, you know, and the teachers wearing rainbow outfits. And it's just incredibly insane. Black Lives Matter, pictures up and everything everywhere. Stuff that we know is a fraud, but they did it. And so the bad part is teachers are under a lot of pressure. And when you look at like Newburgh education right now, the reason we are not good is because they don't want to sit back and say, we've been doing this now for years and it hasn't worked. And so parents are sitting back and they're pretty bright parents and they're going, I don't want my kid getting a boy in a girl's locker room or a girl in a boy's locker room. I don't want them being taught that you don't have to have an official graduation thing. And they leave. They're leaving in groves because, so every kid that leaves, that money doesn't come to that school in 2 years. So that 2 year cycle comes through. There's this year, then there's the next year, then the next year is this year, then there's always the next year. And the problem is uh, parents are sitting back going, no, it's like buying a beater car. Why would you do that? You're going to shop and get a great car. You're going to shop and get a great bed. You're going to shop and get a great couch. Whatever you're buying, people want quality for their money. So that's the best way I can explain it.
Mm.
That's why every one of the people that are listening to our show, I would behoove you to put a little effort out and understand. And like buying a car, you don't walk into the first dealership and have Joey sell you on some car that he's telling you all the right words, but it's not really what you want. You
Mm.
don't want a red car. You don't want a four door. You want a two door. You don't want leather. You want cloth, whatever it is. But he's going to try to sell you because he wants to make a sale. Good for
Sure.
him, but it's not what you want. So our public education right now, all they have to do, and this is where this is going to lock heads, Rob. This is going to lock heads here in the next, I think, 2 to 5 years. Is this cannot continue because they're losing a lot of people. Newburgh is
Mhm.
down to like 4,000 kids. They had 5,300, many 2010 or so. They're losing a lot of kids, and it's
Mhm.
not because of the birth rates. They'll tell you it's all because of birth rates. No, it's not. That's a little bit. Yeah, there's a declining birth rate, but the biggest problem is you've got people leaving charter schools. Homeschooling now is very advanced compared to what it was 35 years ago. Homeschool used to be, a couple parents, wearing purple and earth muffin type parents and saying we're taking Bobby out because we don't want him to get yelled at.
Mhm.
Now it's like it's turned into an industry, and there's really good homeschool options that are not Christian school, or Catholic school.
So moving on, I know we're getting a little bit shorter today because we got a bunch of things going on, but um, wanted to get your take on certain situation in Iran and the blockade and the leadership mess they have over there, and I think it's a lot to deal with. I mean, God love the Pakistanis for stepping in the middle of this and trying to get a deal done because sounds like it's been pretty stressful situation.
Yeah, I think I would like to see President Trump not be the guy giving the update on it 3 times a day. Just focus on other stuff. I think that's what I like. I agree with what we're doing from the standpoint that Iran has been, the worst of the worst when it comes to.
Worldwide sponsor of terror.
Oh man, and it's only a matter of time before that stuff blows up. And we've been very fortunate in this world where we haven't had a nuclear device go off, and even a small one, and kill a million people in some big, metropolitan area, whether it's the United States or not.
Mm.
But I think right now, they've been sitting back. I think something's pretty close to coming, though. I really do. This is May 9th. I think something's pretty close to happening because these guys in Iran right now keep kind of the olives, whatever's left of them, are stalling, and this can't continue. Now there's a big oil spill. They say that the Iranians uh, dumped a whole ship full of oil into the Mediterranean Sea. That's
Mm.
called natural. What's that called? Nature terrorism or whatever it's called, eco
Mm.
terrorism.
Eco-terrorism. Yep.
So
Yep.
that's terrible. But these people are nuts. They're desperate. They're trying to hang on to whatever they got.
Yeah.
I want the best for the Iran people. What they want, the women don't want to be wearing what are those things called?
Hijab. Yeah. The covering, head to toe covering.
They don't want that. They want to just live.
Or,
They don't
yeah.
want this radical Islamic terrorism type people run their country. Same thing in Afghanistan. Same thing in Iraq. Same thing with all these people that get out there and just want to. They're just terrorist dictators.
Yeah.
And so I think there's going to be something happen real quick.
Well, I'll tell you the one thing I've been very impressed with is the military might of America. So a little story I was going to tell you the other couple days ago. I think actually just yesterday there was a couple strikes on a couple of the attacks on the warships. So we had the ability to basically take a 500-pound laser guided bomb and drop it right down the smokestack
Yeah.
on the ship and just disable the ship. So
Yeah.
that's how precise these munitions are, that they can like literally tone in on the smokestack of a, maybe basically a 36-inch square circle or something, or not square circle, but 36-inch diameter circle, and drop a 500-pound laser guided bomb right down the middle of it. That to me was like, wow. And
Yep.
they took out the leaders, they knew exactly where they were. And so, I mean, I think our military is someone you don't really want to mess with.
Oh, for sure. And I think, I you can hate me, cannot like me, you may not be anywhere close to I am politically, but I'll tell you what, they would use that in a heartbeat on us if they had it. In a
Yeah.
heartbeat. In a heartbeat, they would use it. So my hope is right now in prayers is that I don't want to see China and Russia get involved in this conflict because this oil thing This oil drives the industrial engine of the world, and don't make any mistake about that. You may not like oil, and it doesn't fit into your global warming narrative, but that's all horse crap. This
Yeah.
oil runs the show, and Iran's got a lot of it. It needs to get to the countries that need it, and that's going to help us as a country. I think this is my strong belief that by the time we get to July, so we're 6-7 weeks out, right?
Mhm.
We get to early July after the 4th of July. I think you're going to see the move, whatever we make, is going to force this issue, and oil prices will come down, and we'll start to see our gas drop quickly before the midterms, and that's going to seal the deal for President Trump to get, the midterm solid. I think that's what's going to happen. So there you go.
Well, again, we go back to what we were talking about the media. If you listen to CNN, you think the Democrats are taking over the country. If you listen to, I don't know, Fox News, the Republicans are holding strong. So it's really difficult to get any indication of what's really going on in America because it's so stilted by the narratives that are created by the media.
I'll tell you
Because
what.
the thing that someone says on the media is something the little old lady's going to go to the coffee shop and tell her friends, and it just spreads misinformation, spreads like wildfire.
And misinformation is so dangerous, whether it's,
Yeah.
again, right or left. I would say right now, I don't care who you are, old, young, middle of the road, doesn't even matter. Get on your phone even and look up the voting records of Senator Ted Cruz from Texas. Look up the voting record of Akeem Jeffries. Look up the voting record of what Gavin Newsom has done. Look up the voting record of Jim Jordan from Ohio, Republicans. There's 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans.
Yeah.
Look, what have they voted for? What have they stood for? And I think you have to sit back and just don't vote for them because they're a Republican or Democrat. Vote for them because they're a good person.
There's a situation going on. I know we're getting ready to wrap up. This John Fetterman. I always thought this guy's a goof. Man, this guy doesn't represent himself well.
Oh.
But I'll tell you what. I mean, he's a Democrat from Pennsylvania. He's really giving it back to the Democrats. And hey, why don't you want to meet in the middle? Why don't you, try to make an effort? And it's really interesting. And the Democrats definitely turned on him and called him, a pariah and a cancer of the party and stuff. But I mean, as goofy as he is, he actually is starting to make some sense. We need to come across the aisle. We can't be sitting in our little wooden boxes on each side of the aisle. And I really appreciate him doing that. But boy, he's getting lambasted by the media. And so, even within the Democrat and Republican Party, there's all kinds of infighting.
Yeah, I think Fetterman has been a breath of fresh air that you can be on one side of the aisle like a Democrat, and he can make sense, common sense, middle of the road, middle ground on stuff. I think when he first got into office, he had some medical issues that kind of made him seem a little more goofy than he wasn't probably. But I'd love to meet him and say thank you for just standing up for middle America. Even though I'm pretty conservative, I'll move on issues all over the place if it's the right thing to do. But the gridlock we have, I played golf with my buddy the other day, and we got into term limits, and he was adamant to say that we need to not put term limits. I'm going, absolutely we do. We put a term limit, Rob, on the president of the United States. Why? It's 2 4-year terms if they get reelected, 8 years. But he was saying, some of these guys are really good senators, and I said, and some of them are really bad senators, Republican and Democrat. And after 8 years, if you get reelected, you need to go home and get back into your family's plumbing business or grow some corn or do something. But these old guys just need to go golfing. But get the heck out of D.C., keep D.C. fresher, and not this old school on both sides of the aisle. We have people in there that are just Nancy Pelosi's and what's that guy that's been oh man, not a lot of people. I'll think of his name, saying Republican. They're in there forever, like literally forever, like 40 years. And that's
Strom Thurmond.
No, it was after that. I'm thinking of the second, but no, 8 years gone. So it's like right now in Oregon, we got Meekly running against. It's going to be David Brock Smith. I've met David Brock Smith, had dinner with him, spoken with him. Even in Oregon, he's very moderate, but can he beat Meekly? I don't think so. Nobody's beat me.
Jeff Merkley.
Merk.
Yeah,
Sorry, my phone's
good
wrong.
man. That phone's going off there for you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you want to wrap
But
us
I
up,
think,
Dave? 'Cause like I said, I gotta get rolling here. Got a bunch of things going
yeah.
on. A little bit of a short show, but look for. Well, first, let's go with. You can find us on YouTube Live. We're on YouTube Live today, but we're also on Spotify and Apple Podcast. We'll have an audio podcast with Paige coming up here in this weekend, and then certainly this will be live here. It's live right now, but it'll be out on our YouTube Live page. So want to just encourage people to like and subscribe. Really helps us out. Definitely want to give a shout out to all the publicists, all the web people who've reached out to us to try to get on the show. We are definitely moving in that direction, but we're trying to get a few things settled on our end here. But yeah, definitely appreciate it. Got a lot of really great pitches for some great guests. So interested to be bringing that up to you, Dave, and kind of start getting some more guests involved here. So that's it about the show. But Dave, what do you got to close out with?
Well, I think last night at New Britannia Strong, I heard a county sheriff talk about what kind of manpower they need to run our county. Sheriffs in every county across the United States, they are the most powerful person in your local area. The sheriff has a lot of power. This guy's a great guy, but they face staffing challenges like no other. And sheriffs are different than the police department in your local town. And there's so many things we can do. So at the end of the night, I just said, what can we do? Can I come down to, say, the jail, and they have 23 staff members. They're 24/7, and jails have turned into the holding tank for all of our drug and people. That's where they go, and it's sad. That's not what they're intended to do. And these people have a lot of issues. They're very violent, and so. But for the staff, I said, "Can I bring down my cinnamon rolls or fudge?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "We would love that," and I'm like, "Okay." I mean, what can you do? What can I do? And what can all of our listeners do to go help somebody out? You know what I mean? And go help somebody out. That's my big thing right now is I'm going to make my cinnamon rolls and I'm going to take them down there. And it's a nice little gesture and they'll love them because they're fantastic. But then I'm going to think of something else I can do for those guys. But writing a postcard, writing a card, encouragement to a friend. I got 2 friends going through medical stuff right now. And I'm going to keep calling them, bugging them, and texting them, Rob, because they're big surgery type stuff. So go serve somebody. Go out and me to you, you to me, if we feel like the need. And Rob and I will be the test ones. We'll talk about this in a couple months. If Rob's got something going on that's really bugging him and it's hard, you need to be able to say that, especially men. Men, we suck at asking for help, directions, anything like that. And the last thing I'm going to say, Rob, it's Mother's Day tomorrow. And I think it's, my mom passed away in 1987, but we're going to go up and visit her grave, Judy's mom's grave at Willamette National. They're buried with our fathers. And, honor your mom in whatever way you can. And if your mom's alive, at least call her, send a video, send something fun. If you live close to her, go see her, because as moms need all that support. I think it might be the hardest job in the world. So moms deserve a lot of love tomorrow. Whatever you can do, help them out.
Well, happy Mother's Day to Judy,
And Amanda.
my wife Amanda, and to Paige, and all the mothers out there, all of our fans. And
you still got your mom, don't you?
What's that?
Don't you still have your mom?
No, my mom passed in 2013.
Okay.
So no, 2009. Excuse me, 2009.
Okay.
So yeah, she's a good person, good woman. Had a huge impact on me.
86, 96, 106. My mom would be 112 years old today.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, my mom's birthdays would have been on May 20th, so that's coming up pretty quick too. So yeah.
Tell me one thing that your mom was, just a quick, amazing memory about your mom.
Oh, well, she had a really great sense of humor. She just would just crack jokes and just was a lovely person. Loved to sing, Doris Day songs and things like that. Back in the days, she'd do housework and sing her songs. They didn't have iPods or nothing. They just had the music in their head. They would just sing these songs, and she loved that.
My mom could go into any setting and you would swear that they're all relatives. She, in 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes in a restaurant, whatever, people loved her. She just, when she wasn't drinking, which she didn't do out, she did it in the house. Man, she was fun. She just treated people so well, and people just a little bit like Judy.
Yeah.
Judy doesn't drink, but Judy cheers people up. So
I know we're trying to go, but I respect that. Like you hear about these pro athletes who, after every season they'll go around, they tip the clubhouse guys a couple
yeah,
$100 or whatever. It's
love
like
that.
stuff's important because you know what? $200 to that clubhouse guy is
Oh,
going to make him take his wife out to dinner, but $200 to the owner ain't going to be nothing. It's going to pay his golf, his golf shoes or something.
okay. Last thing, and then we're out. Tipping. I work at the golf course, and so everybody pays with their credit card at the golf course. Few people pay for cash. We sell beers for $4. We have hot dogs for $5 and a bag of chips. But we got a few tips. Yesterday I made $1. Day before I made $3. Last week I made $8 in one day.
Whoa!
$8, and I put
You
it in
turned on the
the
charm that day, huh?
Oh, dude, I'm getting rich. Tip, 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 tip. And it's more of, instead of just thinking as a tip, like for that service, what are you doing for that person to like just to encourage it? When I do it, like I go to Burger King, get a $1 ice cream cone. It's the best deal in Newburgh. Burger King $1 ice cream cone, and I
You
get
those
it.
the rodeo burger for $1.99, and you're living large.
Yeah, no, and ice cream knows better than really good ones. And I hand them $2, and they go, "It's only $1." And I go, "I know, but the other $1's for you." And if I have more money, I'll give them $2 for them. I go, "You guys can get tips." And they go, "Yeah, nobody tips them."
Yeah.
And I know we're all tight on money and everything like that, but really look for your opportunities to do something nice for people. So with that,
Well, I got to tell you, I don't like the tip screen. You check tip screen. No, okay, you got my food from the back, and I get it. The people in the back probably should get the tips. They're the ones doing all the work. You just picked up the bag and brought it to the front. And
gas
I'm not
station
giving
attendants, do those
$7.
guys.
What's
Yeah,
that?
gas station attendants are fun.
Yeah.
I won't tip if the service is bad, but I've gotten Judy to tip a little bit more if we're like out back the other night. I said, no, it's not $3.20 because our bill was,
Mhm.
$20. No, just give them like $6-7 and do it in cash.
Yeah.
And say, look, that's the way. That's how to save that screen thing. Don't say, yeah, I don't need that. I'm going to tip in cash, and because you hit 20% or 15% or whatever you hit on that screen, they see that. So just say, no, I'm good. I'll tip in cash, and they're like, so they probably think you're not going to tip, and then we just pay the bill on a card and we put down whatever. So with that,
But it's not. I tell you, it's not acceptable to go to a restaurant and someone's really working hard and doing great, and you either don't tip or you leave them a quarter or something like that. Like that's insulting. And come on.
just don't do it. Don't do it. And if you have an opportunity, there's a lot more places. I know we got to stop. Just go to a restaurant for an hour. I tell all the young guys that work with us from George Fox, I go, you want to test this guy, see what kind of medal he's got? I said, call up the rest home, go and volunteer for an hour. And then when you get a date, take him in there for an hour and put him in a rest home situation and go talk to old people that are down and out and sick and stuff and see how that guy does for you. You can tell really quick if he's got any compassion and empathy. And they're all like, that's a great idea. Or go work with special need kids or any kids for that matter. Just go volunteer. So with that, stand tall with Rob. Rob, I like the Restream. We got to do this more and more. I like this a lot.
Yeah.
It's fun to get back to this format.
And
So
you can always check Dave out on Instagram too. You want to tell him a little bit about the reels and stuff?
yeah, Instagram and TikTok, I love them. I think they're more awesome than they are awful. People have a negative connotation, like especially on TikTok. But man, I'll tell you what, there's so much cool music on both those. I take that and then I forward it to my special address, like you're texting somebody, and so I get all these little songs in there, Rob, and that's what I listen to now. There's so many good stuff, and so there's that on there. There's funny stuff. They've been kind of hitting the dog thing lately, where dogs get older, and our dog's getting older, and tugs on your heart and stuff. But and there's some bad stuff, where they get a little too much, skin or something like that. But it's not bad.
Yeah.
There's no nudity. There's nothing like that. So
Yeah.
anyway, I like them. The reels are fun. They're usually, the shorter we go, the better they do, and it's a fun way to catch stuff. But yeah, there you go. Well, Rob, you're gonna have a busy Saturday. Me too.
Yep, a lot going on. Got Mother's Day tomorrow. Got a lot going on with that too. So,
We'll
yeah,
talk.
yeah. All right,
Well,
buddy.
stand
You have a good
tall.
one.
Rob's going to go St. Louis Cardinals. I'm going to go Cincinnati Reds. And yeah, that's our teams. Who's your
Hey,
team?
Cardinals, little rookie yesterday, hit a little league grand slam. Bases
Really?
loaded, hit one in the right field, went under the glove, and ended up going around for the home run. Got the grand slam. They call that the little league grand slam.
Who did that?
Cardinals. JJ Westerholt is his name.
Fun.
Rookie.
I'm
Yeah.
getting back. I'm kind of flipping back into baseball a little bit right now. I love baseball, always have, always will. But I've been away from it a little bit, watching it so much. But the Beavers, Oregon State Beavers, kind of got me back watching a little bit, and I'm getting back into my baseball mode where I'll be tracking it a lot closer. So, hey, with that said, stand tall, Dave and Rob. Peace out.